Alright guys, so today we're going to be working on the Miata some more, this time the chassis side of things. Basically the goal is going to be to get everything out of the engine bay that we're not going to use with the LS in there. That includes like the power steering pump, the slave cylinder, the exhaust, pretty much all the wiring. And the weird thing with the wiring is I haven't really looked into it, so I don't quite know what I can just take out and what's going to be integrated into the actual chassis harness. So that's going to be kind of its own little thing. But we're going to try to minimize the engine bay as much as possible because we do have to do some cutting and welding and such to fit the new engine in, and I want to get it cleaned up and paint it and all that. So that's the goal for the day. Let's see what else. First we're going to start off with cleaning it because it is disgusting, as you guys probably already know if you've been following along. Check this out. I did get the right cam finally. I got this Jegs cam. This is 585 I believe, with 228 230 duration. As opposed to this, well, I don't have it in yet. I still got to pull it out, which I'm not going to do on video because it'd be the same thing I've already done. But we got to pull it out, send it back, put this guy in, and we'll have a good cam, or the cam I wanted at least. I normally wouldn't care enough if it was like a 5-10 horsepower difference, even like 15, just because I feel like I wouldn't feel that much of a difference, you know, in that power level. But the main thing is I've always wanted a car that lopes, like a V8 that lopes at idle. I've watched so many videos when I was a kid. I want my car to lope. Like, that's more important to me than power. If it was just about power, I wouldn't even bother with this, but I want a lopey car. And that may seem like a stupider reason, but I'm gonna notice a lopey idle a lot more than I'm gonna notice 5-10 horsepower. So anyway, just wanted to get that thought off my head. Before we get started, I almost forgot, tool time. I've been very excited about these. I got the new Milwaukee Impact drill driver sets. I used to think that these tools, because I mean they're designed for like construction use, like carpenters, plumbers, whatever it may be. I used to think that these tools weren't for automotive people. You know, this is meant to have all these different attachments on it. Why not get like a 3/8? I'm sorry if you guys, it's so windy. Like, it's loud out like here. Anyway, I was like, why wouldn't you just get a 3/8 one? But I've learned that this is much more useful than a 3/8 one because you've got this whole box. I mean, and this is just some of the attachments you can have. You know, you can do 3/8, you can do 1/4 inch, these different sizes. You got extenders, you got Phillips, which I use the Phillips probably more than anything. I definitely would recommend this over a 3/8 Impact. And then you normally get the drill as well, which obviously drills are super useful. Wire wheeling stuff like oil pins that are RTV'd on, and I use it to sharpen tungsten against a grinder with a flap disc. There's a lot of things, and obviously drilling, you know. Before I had a drill, I would just avoid drilling. Now I drill stuff all the time. So I've been highly anticipating these, and the reason being, for me, these tools are all about speed. They're not so much about strength. So like, if I want to take a big bolt out, I'm not using this, because no matter what, it's going through, take this out again, a little tiny 1/4 inch shank that clips in here like that. So no matter how big the socket is, or if it's a 1/2 inch drive on this end, you still got a 1/4 inch here. It's not going to take that much abuse, no matter how powerful one of these you get. So I wanted to opt for something that was just as light as possible, because I use these for ripping valve cover bolts off, you know, body panel screws, like fender screws, all that stuff. These are super fast. Like, the electric ratchets fit a lot tighter places, but if you can get to it, this is fast. And this gets in a lot better places than setup that I used to have. As you can see, there's a pretty big size difference here. This is a lot larger, especially this is what normally causes me problems, the big battery. Now Milwaukee does make a setup like this with the M18 batteries, same batteries I use in like my 1/2 inch Impacts, but you know, I don't want anything that big for this, because again, this is just to zip things off. If I need to take a big bolt off and I can fit this in there, this is what I'm going to use. And I doubt there's going to be something that I can fit this in and not this in, for the most part, at least in my experience. So really excited about these. You guys kind of know where my biases are brand wise. I really like Milwaukee stuff, and I feel like the Milwaukee stuff just feels a lot nicer in my hand. They don't go crazy with the overmolding, trying to make it look like a Tron character and have plastic overmolding. It's just always a nice big piece of this rubber or whatever exact material it is, over molding, and they just fit nice in the hand. They take a lot of abuse, so I like these. Also, this one, these normally have the clips down here. You're supposed to hang it from your belt like this. I've tried it even when I work construction, climbing ladders and stuff. I think it's like not very useful for me to have a clip there. I just feel like it's gonna fall off. It has fallen off. This one though has a clip on the side. Same with this guy, which I will not be taking these off because they are super handy. They just kind of like falls right on there. I asked you guys if you wanted to see the tool time stuff. You guys said yes, so hopefully that was the majority, not the minority of you that watch the videos. But really excited about these. I'll put the link to them below. Quick, I know this has been a long tool talk. If you're buying any of these, any brand, keep in mind, make sure you do your research. Fed used the DeWalt stuff that these are replacing, and he was like, oh, this works pretty well for what I need. So I ordered the cheapest one he could find. Well, that one was non-brushless with the small battery. Like this has a 4 amp hour battery. Those have a 4 amp hour battery. This is only 2 because you're not using as much as a drill. But the one he got had a 2 amp hour battery. It wasn't really strong enough to do much. These are also brushless, so they've got plenty of power. So just do your research. You might think like, oh, this is the same. Use the DeWalt, or use the Milwaukee or Makita, and it works great. This is a Makita for $100 or whatever it is. Make sure it's the same one, because there's a big difference between a lot of them. Like these didn't used to be as powerful. You can find one that looks just like this. It's not brushless and doesn't have like 4-speed control and all that. You can get a kit of drill and impact drivers. It's $120 or $300 from the same company that looks the exact same if you just glance at them or just mildly look at them. So do your research. Okay, on to the actual work now. All right, so the plan is to get the bay cleaned up before it gets dark. Once it gets dark, we can push this thing inside and start actually taking stuff apart. But I don't want to get crap running all over the garage floor. Finishing off this can real quick. It's pretty much empty, but might as well make some use of it. There's literally like mounds of dirt on everything. Oh god, we're getting blowback, spray back. Again, this probably would not be advisable if you have like a newer car with a fresh engine bay, but this stuff will eat through gunk, so that's why I use it. I'm not too worried about paint, as you guys have probably already noticed. Pull this out while we're here. Look. So I made this a breeze. I normally have to borrow one and I don't want to go through the trouble. So we're gonna push it in the garage now and start tearing it apart. It's amazing what a pressure washer and some oven cleaner will do to an incredibly dirty engine bay that is now clean. I got a little carried away and even cleaned the subframe that I'm not going to be reusing just because it's so satisfying to watch all the grease just pour off. But yeah, pretty happy with how it came out for just a quick pressure wash. Alright, so I think the first order of business here is going to be to get this power steering stuff off. I don't think I want to drain it right now because then I'm going to just constantly have fluid leaking out of the rack. So I kind of just want to pull it down here out of the way for right now and kind of figure out what we're working with everywhere else. Because we're going to have to take the rack out and swap it to the other subframe anyway. So I just don't want to deal with that mess right now, just like I didn't want to deal with it when we pulled the engine out. Alright, let's see. What else do we got here? Take these relays off, don't need these. So what we're really going to try to figure out here is how much of this engine bay wiring harness we can take out without having to start terminating stuff, you know, going through schematics and all that. We don't use the the window motors. What is wrong with me? We don't use the headlight motors, they're fixed. We have them set at an adjustment point. We can't take them off, like the actual motor assembly, because that's what's holding the light up. But I kind of want to. I wonder if we could just weld this rod to the metal, and then we'd still be able to get it. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Actually, let's keep working. Let's get this coolant reservoir off before we go crazy and start welding stuff. Save that, we might reuse this. Start cutting these clips for the wiring. Alright, let's see here. We got something right here. These are so annoying. I can't ever really get these off cleanly. I'm just gonna cut them. Because we're not reusing this engine harness at all. The chassis harness is what's questionable as to whether or not we're going to be keeping it, because we really don't need that many of its functions. Probably pull the bumper off. Electric ratchet. Oh, that's the wrong way. Oh. This is almost too weird to even get. Got a corner light. So it's holding me up over here. That out. This one over here. Alright. Now we can get to the rest of this wiring and this sweet custom installed rag that we have. Cut this guy here. Oh, come on. Okay, pull that off. Where does this go? This loops down here to something that's not even connected anymore, so we'll cut that. Let me bring you guys in here. You probably still can't see what I'm doing here, but you'll get the gist. I'm just trying to get this harness out and out of the way. And cut this IAT off. Because we'll be selling this with the turbo kit, so we're going to cut it off. IAT. So this wiring now. This is the ground for the IAT sensor. You don't need any more. We're at the no going back point, guys. Definitely not gonna go back after ripping all this wiring out. There's still so much junk in here that we're gonna have to re-pressure wash this now that we've got it all taken apart. So we've got headlight wiring on this side. Let's see. So we're just going to cut this short because this is just intake air temp. Don't need that. I think a couple of these are doubled back, so we'll keep those off to the side for now. Go back to the other side. Pop this thing off. Try to. The other one came off so easy. I thought this one would too. Oh, got it. I just broke it off. That's okay. Let's see. It goes down here and up to the headlights. See, this is what I was afraid of. I can wire headlights. That's not a big deal. So if that's all we're sacrificing up here by just taking this whole harness out, I'm okay with that. What to do though? What to do? All right, so there's just no good place to sit here. All right, so I'm super conflicted on what to do here. The thing is, there's huge pros and cons to each side, and what we decided to do today and start on today is going to kind of determine the fate. I always talk about not going down the rabbit hole. This is kind of more build advice real quick, and me trying to talk through this myself. Not going down the rabbit hole, don't do unnecessary stuff for the most part. So for example, this was still the 1.8 turbo, I would not even consider taking the factory wiring harness out just to get rid of all the stuff I'm not using, which is a lot of stuff, like all the AC stuff and emission stuff, EGR and all that. You know, getting rid of all of that would be nice, but when the factory harness runs your motor, is it worth pulling your whole car apart and rewiring your whole car? I feel like, for me, no, which is why I didn't do that when I had the 1.8 turbo in here. But now, we're going to have the V8 in here, the LS, and that's going to have its own harness. It's going to be 3 wires to run that entire engine harness. It's power, ground, and then switch power. So constant power, switch power, ground. So we need virtually none of this stuff in the engine bay. The only things that we need to run are lights, like headlights, tail lights, running lights, brake lights, and ideally turn signals. I still have power windows, so we need power windows. Or I can switch to manual to make it easier. You know, that's kind of up in the air. Windshield wipers, and that's pretty much all I can think of. I'm not going to be using the stock cluster really. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do as far as that goes. I'll go over those options when we get there. But pretty much the stock cluster is going to be gone anyway. So the amount of stuff that would need to be wired from scratch, you know, isn't that big of a list. It's just like, again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole and then the build takes an extra month because I wanted to rewire my whole car. But at the same time, it would be good content for you guys, those of you who haven't done it before. It's just one of those things that sounds super easy, and then you kind of get into it and you're like, oh man, this is a lot to do. So since I am so conflicted, John is going to be coming over. He's a lot smarter when it comes to wiring than I am, so we're going to look at it together and kind of get an idea. But let me kind of just show you what the problem is essentially. So on most cars, or at least most cars I've worked on, peep the loafers by the way, got my other shoes wet, I hate wet feet. So like an S chassis, for example, you have your engine harness, it runs through the firewall, has a connector to the ECU. You take that out, you can take your whole engine harness out of your car, and it is separate from the chassis harness. It ties into it with a plug, but it's separate. This, we've got our wires coming from the back, from the battery, and this contains our alternator plugs down there, so the alternator power and the alternator, like, you know, essentially regulator plug. And then we've got our ignition. Oh my god, our ignition. So this is just you turn the key This is what tells the starter to spin, and then your constant power of the starter. That runs up into this fuse block here. Now from this fuse block, we go back into the inside of the car, all connected, one solid harness that goes into the car and runs all behind the dash and through the rest of the car. We also go down here to the AC stuff. Let's see, this is like some of the engine sensors. You've got like fuel, ignition, wiring, which also goes into that harness that goes back into this main harness, which goes into the car. So essentially all of this stuff is interconnected. I can't just take the engine harness out and leave the chassis harness in. I mean, I could, but that will be a lot of work in and of itself, because what happens is you may have this ground here that completes a circuit over here, you know, in here or something. So you cut that out, and then all of a sudden this doesn't work and that doesn't work, and you're chasing your tail. I'm not gonna get too much more into the pros and cons now. I'm gonna wait till John gets here. Me and him will talk about it, and then I'll let you guys know what I think. But one quick pro to doing the wiring is that you have done it yourself, and you know where everything is, you know how it's wired. So if you have a malfunction, if your fuel pump's not turning on, you know exactly where those wires are ran, what color they are, what relay it is, how to get to it, and it's all pretty accessible. It's not loomed in with a bunch of other stuff, so it does make diagnostics easier. All right, I'll get back to you guys when I have a better idea of what the hell I'm doing with the rest of my evening, because we need to get something done. I haven't been able to make much progress, and I gotta tell you, I'm itching. I'm itching to make progress. I'm dying. While we're waiting for John, we're gonna start on a quick little project. I've been meaning to do this for a while now. Put these factory headlight housings back on. We'll cut them so that when this is down, you'll be able to see, you won't be able to see like just this metal stuff from the side. So I think all we'll really have to do is like lob it off right around here. We'll probably cut a little high, or low rather, just to be safe. Give the old cutting dikes a shot. So I'm gonna kind of just draw an imaginary line to this little notch here. Oh yeah, these are working great. Probably gonna have to do this every time just to get them all the way in there. Oh, ta-da. Jeez, well, Pete, I'm gonna cut the other side. All right, that's what it looks like. We're gonna test fit it now. Okay, so now we'll spin around down here. Oh, this is gonna fit perfect. Maybe not. It's a little higher than I'd like it to be, personally. So, what I'll have to do is cut up, cut over to get this to go down and kind of sit flush. Well, that took way too long, but it's on and fits. It looks better than just a hole there. So, for those of you who don't know and haven't heard me say it, we are going to make the Miata pretty again. I actually have a bunch of body panels to put on it and some other cool, neat stuff to make it look good. So don't fret, my friends. Don't fret. We're leaving this door though, it adds character. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, I'm going to do the other one, and then hopefully John will be here and we'll do wiring stuff like this whole video was supposed to be about. Pro tip, use a Sawzall. That was insanely faster. The only thing is, even with it in the vise, it flexes so much that it won't even cut unless you hold the plastic and keep it from vibrating. Then it cuts like butter, but it's hard to do that when you're holding the Sawzall in one hand and you only have, normally you'd be holding up two hands. So it's a little sketchy, but it works. Don't try this at home, kids, whatever. Okay, we'll put this one on. We are going to now discuss options as far as what I'm going to do with my life. Alright, it's decided. Okay, well, it's decided that I can't take this bolt out. Alright, okay. Well then. Why is this not working? I don't understand. John, what happened?
Hashtag guys who wrench, hashtag no girls home.
Hashtag No girls help even though she's here. Hashtag she
What are you talking about?
doesn't help wrench because she knows everything and we don't. It's supposed to be the opposite, but it's not. It's like I can't really make sense of it. Hashtag she knows everything but won't help because she wants us to do it ourselves.
So we can learn.
So we can learn and become pro wrenchers. Alright, so we decided, rash decision. John wants my fuse box, so that's the only reason he came up with
Don't throw me under the
No,
bus.
I'm
We
just
talked
kidding.
about this for like 20 minutes.
I know, we did. We discussed all the possible options. Realistically, I don't need any of this. To wire the harness for the motor, it's going to be a 3-wire, so it's going to be constant power, switch power, ground. Has its own little fuse box and everything, so like, none of this. I mean, I just have to wire headlights, taillights, brake lights, wipers. Did we think of something else?
Starting.
Like a starting switch. I mean, there's just no reason to keep all this nonsense when I don't need any of it. Like, none of it. Hashtag weight reduction, bro. Hashtag do you even weight reduction? Hashtag guys who wrench. Hashtag.
Where's your low cut shirt, Taylor?
I don't have one right now. I lent it to you, remember? You didn't give it back to me. I'm just gonna cut these headlight wires like right here before the turn signals that I don't need. Where do my things go? Put them up. I'm an idiot. Now the real question is, do I just...
Oh, cut it off.
So there's headlight wiring.
I don't have cutters. I'm just scared because he's cutting wires.
These are Nipex. They're pretty ball hair.
They're pretty ball hair.
Gross.
They're pretty ball hairs. Whoa!
They're pretty?
Diagnostic port.
I didn't even know this was here. Oh, you can't see it. Look at my diagnostic port
You should leave that in there.
that I'm never going to use again. Ah, a diagnostic port. It's funny, this is a 97, it's still a VD1.
How do you work, Taylor?
I don't know. All the electrical connectors on this car are different. Like each one has its own.
Can you just cut this again?
Guys, I have good news. There's only 25 grams
Cut
of
it.
sugar in that whole bag. I'm not a fat ass.
Cut it. You need to cut it. 25 grams of sugar, that's not too bad.
Oh, Taylor, I always forget when you order it. I say dumb shit.
What?
So-
Things.
I'll edit it out.
Thanks.
Not really.
Thanks, too.
Come on, you. Just rip it off. Well, just rip off. No, it won't. Why is it so hard? Why is it so... How did I get it on?
Why is it so hard? How do I get it on?
How did I, John?
How?
Past tense. We're definitely at the point of no return. Not that we already weren't, but we're more so at the point of no return now.
This is ready to shove through.
Alright, so I'll go try to grab it from the other side. Shut up, Ashley.
Maybe think.
He said shove it through.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Do you remember which one of these is the wiper still, Taylor?
No.
Yeah, I'll show you.
The one that looks like that.
I will tell you this one.
Okay.
What am I cutting? Why did you give me this?
I don't know if there's like zip ties or something. It's free. It's ready to start pulling. Wait, hold up. There we go. Almost, keep going. Now you're like at the engine harness stuff, like injectors and whatnot.
Feels like it's caught on something.
There's so many screws down here.
And the wiper cow? Oh my god.
like where we just pulled the harness through, there's like a pile of screws and shit. Stuff. Things.
Oh, yeah. And just like leaves and the...
Oh,
noise. Oh, that goes down there. We can just drop that.
Oh, is that the main battery wire?
Yeah.
Don't try. No! Leave it. Leave this.
But I'm not going to use that.
I would leave this.
No, but
this is good.
I don't need it.
Leave this.
Maybe I need it.
Is this all the stuff to your taillights and whatnot?
No.
You sure?
Maybe.
If this is like half of your chassis harness already done, leave that alone.
Maybe. Flashlight's too big to put in your mouth.
Hashtag it's too big to put in my mouth.
Hashtag we can get Cassie on YouTube.
Hashtag that's normally not a problem for you, John. I'm surprised to hear that it is.
Hashtag don't tell Marco.
Oh god. You got something there.
Oh, just cut that.
Whoa, this is super melty over here.
Yeah, it's from the exhaust when it broke. Alright, so the next step is going to be pulling this wire out. So this is the one that goes all the way up and turns into that fuse block that John wants. So I gotta jack the car up because it's I'll show you when I get under there. Oh, you're right, that was close. Alright, see how that goes all the way and then it takes it all the way to the front. So we're gonna get it off the PPF first and then we can pull it through. God, there's a lot of these little brackets. Should I just, if I'm gonna reuse this, I should just leave it. Oh no, I'm not gonna have the power plant frame. I'm an idiot, guys, don't listen to me. So John was asking me for a drill and I'm like, oh, he must be doing something productive. So that's the speedo cable that the trans would normally spin. So show him what the LS is gonna be like.
It's gonna be like
No, give us like a first through third.
Do I need to make engine noises?
Just go part throttle, yeah.
Oh, so just like chilling. Didn't really work out.
No, that was terrible synchronization, but it's okay. Oh god, I thought that. Oh my, I'm just running and everything. All right, I got it all unhooked underneath. I just need Mr. Derp over there to help me feed it down while I pull it through. You gonna laugh at that one too, Ashley? Huh? 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 That was way more annoying than I anticipated it being. Knocking my drink over. We just decided we're gonna run a new power wire because since that was attached to the power plant frame, which is coming out, there was no point to leave it in there. So I'm gonna undo the exhaust real quick. I still want to get the power steering pump out, and then that might be it for the evening. Miata build for me. Life is hard.
You should got off still.
Yeah.
Get a drain pan.
Yeah, too.
What is this? Do you need this? I just took it off.
Oh yes.
The hood thing?
No. Yes. Yes. It is. Yeah, that's what it is. All right. Come on. Stay in the pan.
I would like at least stuff some rags in there or something.
Yeah.
You need to turn the wheel.
Oh, I do have shop rags. I'm an idiot.
Hey, when you move the car around, fluid's gonna go everywhere.
Yeah, you're right. That's fine. Ta-da! Power steering setup's out. We didn't even really leak fluid everywhere. I spilled fluid over there, getting the drain pan so I wouldn't leak fluid over here. But Ashley's so nice that she's cleaning it for me. Thanks, Ashley. You're nice. I'm saying you're nice. So we got the wiring out. I mean, it's still in there, but I've got to take all the interior out, like I said. So I'm gonna pull it the rest of the way out when I do that. But the engine bay is pretty well stripped down. I guess I could take this slave off. There's a couple minor things that I'll tinker with later, or now, or whenever I say goodbye. But that's gonna be it for today's video. So those of you who have any interest in like doing your own custom wiring harness for like a track car, we'll be doing that. Let me go talk over here so I'm not holding this up this whole time. For this, it should be very simple. This is much simpler than like a car that you would drive on the street a lot, but what else was I gonna say? Things. Almost done with the motor. I'm gonna switch the cam, and then we've got to do like a couple little oiling things, gaskets, and then it's like together, and we'll be ready to start test fitting. So then we'll put the subframe in.